Hey guys, it's Aaron. I want to look at a new tool. Well, it's new for 2021, and that is pre-design. So pre-design is a piece of SketchUp Pro. So if you have the SketchUp Pro subscription, you have access to pre-design. We're going to take a look at what it is and how it works real quick. Now, I just want to lay out exactly what it is before we even hop right in. So pre-design is a tool to help you with your design of a structure. So this is an information system that will allow you to go through and make decisions about your design, your building, before you start building it. Pre-design at this point is not directly plugged into SketchUp, so I'm not going to make changes in pre-design and have it go update or change my model, but it's going to give me information. It's going to help me make the best choices when I design a new structure. So I'll stop describing it and start running it. Let's hop in and take a look. Okay, so this is pre-design. When I first come in here, I'm going to have all the studies I've done. So in this case, I have some demo studies here, which I could hop into and look at. But I'm just going to go ahead and create a new one. So I'm going to click Create New Study. What it's going to do is come in and ask for a name and a building type. So I'm going to call this New Home. And because I'm calling it home, I'm assuming it's going to be a residential structure, as opposed to an office or school, which are going to have different requirements and different building types. So we're going to use residential for this one. I will click Continue. All right, now it's going to ask for location. Where is this going to be? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in the town I live in, Longmont, Colorado. There it is. And all right, it's going to tell me here's where it's going to pull the weather data from. That sounds good. This is where, yep, this is Longmont. This is where I'm looking. All right, so I'm going to hit Continue. What this is going to do now is create a brand new study. It's telling me some information here based on the schedule, that kind of thing. That stuff looks good to me. I'm happy with that. My day can go from 8 to 10, 6 to 10. That's about right. That's about how often, that's where I'm awakening at. All right, let's create study. All right, so it's going to create it and dump it right here. At this point, I can select it. So clicking on any of these tiles here is going to bring up that study. You notice when I mouse over this study, I get the delete, which means I can remove that study from my list if I want to. The basic information here is the location, what type is it, and when did you spend time in it. It's not going to go for exact street address at this point. This is just a general location to do my study on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it to pull it up. All right. Once we get in here, this is the meat. This is the good stuff. This is the information that's being generated. So if I look over here, these tabs are the main piece of information I'm going to have. First one is seasons. So it tells me here there's a cold, semi-arid climate. So this is going to break it down into quarters. So I have December to March, March, June, June to September, and September to December. And it's going to tell me on average in these times, these periods, what is the weather like. So I have the average, minimum, maximum temperature, and then some general idea of what the sun's like, what other dominating weather factors do I want to consider. So this is just sort of a thumbnail. In case you're building in a location that you don't already know about, this is a great way to find out about it. You can also cheat, and if you're planning on traveling somewhere, maybe internationally, and you want to find out how to pack, you could use pre-design for that too. If I come into architectural response, this is the impact of that weather on my building I'm creating. So this has some basic information. This is, again, helps you to decide how you want to design your building, what you want to take into consideration. Best ways to, this is kind of nice. So this is some general information upside, what's it like, and then what do humans want out of that type of climate. And then if I come down here, how are we going to interact with that? And there's different options. These are going to change depending on the locations. So these are just some general ideas based on where you have selected and how you might want to consider your design as you move forward. And I'm a big fan of graphs. I like this kind of stuff. So down here, here's the 12 months of the year, so move along there. And I have some different ideas here about how often I'm going to need to take shelter versus be inside versus be outside versus shelter from the cold versus shelter from the heat as I move through the year. So this is really cool because as a snapshot, I can look at it and go, okay, I'm building Longmont, Colorado. I have a big portion of the year where I have to worry about protecting from the cold. And protecting from heat is going to be a concern a little bit right here in the middle, but not all year round, so that's good to know. If we get into glazing ratio, this is nice because this is where I start to get a little bit more interactive here. So for one thing, I can actually see my glazing ratio change as I move around the building, because obviously different sides of the buildings are going to require different setups because the sun's going to hit them differently. So you can actually see as you move through the building, the incoming sun is going to change. If I come down to the bottom, it will actually tell me the ideal or the maximum glazing that I would want to have for different types of window treatment. So I can come over here and I can actually, say, oh, well, I'm going to go with a non-metal frame. We'll do double glazed. I can turn some of these options off. This is a new build, so there's no shading right now. So I turn these other shading options off. And it's going to help me narrow down this list, 216 strategies in total. So this is going to actually let you limit that and get a better strategy, a better idea of what you could be using on those windows. I can go to shading. And shading's nice because I get a couple things here. So one, again, I can see the shading on the different faces of the window, or the different faces of the building. And as I move around the building, you can see here I have this this map of the months and time of the year where I can actually see what's dominating during different times. I can also see what kind of shading I might consider for windows. So in here I have different options with overhangs and egg crates and blinds and hoods and different options here that I could go through and consider these to protect from sun or heat coming in through the windows. Top lighting is going to give me information relative to sunlight, skylights, sun coming in from above basically. This is not the windows, this is actually coming in from above. So it does talk a little bit here about the benefits of doing that, and then also some options, different suitabilities. I don't know if that's a real word, but some options here and how well they're suited to the location you're designing for. And finally, outside spaces. I like this one because I really like this picture. But this comes up and it tells you, how much energy you might want to put into the different outside options. So obviously, like we saw in that graph where I had a big portion of it's cold outside, that means I'm probably going to want to consider, if I'm doing something outside, I want to include heating of some sort. And see, this is kind of the another graph that's going to show similar information throughout the year, but it's inverted because when is it more usable? What times is it more usable than others? Again, because the cold in the spot that I'm designing for, it's less usable at the beginning and end of the year, whereas in the middle, I can get out there a little easier. Ideally, with some of these interventions, which are most likely things like heating or windbreaks. So then I have some options about how to bring these different interventions together to optimally design for the outside use in this location that I'm designing for. So this is a whole lot of information, and it's a lot to absorb, but it's great info. And like I said, what you want to use this for ideally is at the very beginning when you first jump in and start your design, or as the name is pre-designed, maybe before you start your design. So you can take this information and use this to help you come up with that original concept model and start putting your actual model together. What's the outside going to look like? What's your window situation going to look like? Do you have skylights, top lights? Is that the issue or not? That's going to a lot of that come down to where you're designing for, and pre-design is going to help you make those decisions. Check it out. And if you did like that video, go ahead and click like down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We create several videos a week around here, and you'll be notified of each and every one if you subscribe. Most importantly though, leave us a comment down below. Do you think you'll use pre-design? Tell us how. If you think there's another piece of SketchUp that we should be spotlighting, let us know about that too. We like making these videos a lot. We like them even more when they're showing something you want to see. Thank you.